Greetings. Today what we're going to do is show you how very easily at home to install new rear door speakers in the back of a 2025 Subaru Crosstrek. Very similar to the 24. It's crazy hot out here, very humid, so you're going to see me sweating. Should only take you about 20 minutes, maybe 30 if you really take your time. But yeah, absolutely worth the upgrade. Now, like most things in life, get your tools ready ahead of time. The pry bars to take the door panel off, a flat and Phillips screwdriver. Ratcheting screwdriver is fantastic. I've already got my wiring harness set out, and I'll show you the mounting bracket, a couple modifications you need to make to that. First thing we're gonna do, take a straight screwdriver. There's a tiny panel covering our screw in here. So open the handle, gently pry underneath there. This will come right out. No scratches, but there's a little edge right here. You can just pop that off to get at the Phillips screw. Same inside the handle. So there's a closer look at the screw in the door. And then also down in the handle, there's a little panel. Drop a straight edge screwdriver in there. Just pop that up and you can expose the Phillips. That's all we need. Keep in mind, you don't want stuff rolling down the driveway. So after we pop it out, we set these on the floor in the back seat. All-weather mats, just set them in there. That way they're not blowing around the garage, the dog isn't eating them, what have you. So we're partway there. This is fantastic. It's not gonna scratch the paint. So what we're gonna do, this plastic panel is just popped on with some pressure rivets. On the 2025, you've got this rubber gasket under the bottom. You're gonna leave that in place. So we're gonna set this right above it, and then you're gonna pull it out till it pops. Boom, we're good to go. Keep working your way around. If it's pretty new, don't worry, you're not gonna break anything. However, you do need to give it a little pressure when you pop it out. Okay, so those are all loose. A couple of them popped off. No problem, we put them back on afterwards. So there's a rubber gasket keeping the water on the window, between the door and the window. So we gently lift up, that comes right out. I'm gonna move the camera in a second. Got a couple wiring pieces we need to move. So take a look inside here. We've got two cables. That's gonna manage the door handle and your window control right here. You've got your electronics further down. So now that we've got this loose, we don't want to just drop it, right? These, gently pull them up, twist it a little bit, and the ball comes right out. Each of those is a different size, so you can't reinstall on the wrong control. Lift up, wiggle a little bit, you're out. Wiring, this one can be a little finicky. Don't just pull the door out, but what you want to do, get your hand in there. Right in here is a flat connector with a little wiggle. Now, what I want to show you, there's a little tab right on the edge. So when we put this back in, that tab is going to just give a little click. Now, the door panel, completely loose. Set it somewhere where it's not going to get scratched up. Back to the speaker. You'll see in a minute when I set them side by side. This thing is heinous. So we're going to reuse the connector. Little pressure plate on the side. Lift her out. We're set. Got 3 Phillips screws holding it in. Let's take that speaker out. Now, when we're taking the speaker out, again, be careful. Keep the screws, you're gonna need them. Don't trash your connectors, you're gonna reuse those. There is a little bit of foam. It's not even glued. It's just kind of mashed against the door. So give it a little wiggle, comes right out. There's a little clip, odds are, not even have to worry about that. But look at this speaker. Let me give you a side-by-side comparison. So here's our Subaru basic And if you don't know anything about speakers, look at the miniature magnet compared to this beauty from Kicker. What I'm putting in the back door is the KSC 670. It's a beautiful two-way, and this is going to sound amazing simply because of the construction. All right, this is literally a combination of paper and foam. We've got actual quality speaker hardware here, so highly recommend these Kickers. We're not going to use, so this plate, obviously it kept the speaker out a little bit, so the rear of it doesn't interfere with the window going up and down. The good people at Crutchfield gave me this, so we're going to get it moved into the car enough that this doesn't block anything. You've got about 1 million install options on both of them. What I try to do is keep the wiring opening up top, all right? A lot of people with Crosstreks, Subarus in general, worry about water in the door. Two things there, right? When it's pouring rain, the water that seeps down the window's gotta go somewhere. It's gonna come out the bottom of the door. So I tend to keep this up here, but you're gonna notice we've got these little flanges. They're just in the way. So a little pressure, take those two off. Again, this is unique to the Subaru, but I've broken all the internal off because of this size speaker. If you go with a 6.5, this is the 6 3/4, but if you go with a 6.5, you'll leave those mounting tabs in there. Anyways, doesn't take rocket science. What we're gonna do, we're gonna mount this plate here, then we're gonna eye up which mounting holes we wanna use on there. Good news with this particular kit, all of the screws that came with it are all we need to install it. So back in a moment. As I mentioned, we're gonna keep the wiring opening somewhat toward the top. So not too many options here. You got 3 screws, 3 mounting holes. What I always encourage people to do, loosely put all of them in. Instead of cranking down one corner and finding out you're slightly out of alignment, just go ahead and do a loose thread on all of them. Then come back, make sure you're nice and centered. There's plenty of clearance. We don't have to worry about is the speaker hitting up against the door frame itself. Okay, here's a look at that opening. I've attached those 3 screws, same ones that came with it originally. I highly recommend manual. Don't be using a power drill, right? You don't want to pop a drill through a brand new pair of speakers. With that said, all I need to do, this is my original wiring from Subaru. You get an audible connection. Boom, you're in. Gently drop these 2 down in. We'll clean this up later. These 2 very different sizes. So you really can't go wrong when you connect them. One of them's twice the size of the other. So we're gonna match those up. Then we're gonna look at the mounting holes where we want to attach this. As you can see, ton of options. So you don't have to be super particular. It's round, right? There's no up or down. I'm gonna keep all the connections as high up toward the top as I can, in case there's any moisture, any splashing inside the door if we're off-roading through some river. Give me as much clearance as possible. I'm a lefty, so it's a little more challenging. I'll move the camera in a minute. But what you're gonna see again is that same old principle. I'm gonna go ahead, loosely thread all 4. Make sure I've got good alignment. Then I'll go ahead and tighten her down. But we're almost finished. Before we put the door panel back on, we're gonna do an audio test, obviously. Okay, what I was talking about earlier, I've got all 4 just very loosely threaded, just like putting wheels back on, changing a spare tire. All right, we're gonna alternate. We're gonna get them a whole lot closer before we tighten everything. But these are super long. Once they're in, the speaker's not going anywhere. The reason I recommend ratchet, as opposed to a drill bit, hand comes loose, you don't want to pop through that panel. Take your time, thread all these in, I use a little cardboard to kneel on. It's easier on the knees. I ain't getting any younger. You can use a rug or something. Use one of the mats from the car, but yeah, don't kneel on the pavement. Painful. I'll edit through this pretty quickly. You don't need to see me just putting in 4 screws. But what I want to point attention to is take the top left, go snug, bottom right, go snug. Again, it's great practice, just like on a spare tire. All right, you tighten one, if something else is out of alignment, you're gonna shear those lug nuts right off. I've seen a friend do it. You don't want to over tighten anything and strip it, right? So being a perfectionist, right? You go around a couple times, make sure everything's snug. All of this is threading into plastic. So don't feel like you've got to grind this down to a point where you're stripping out the mount. I'm gonna leave everything here, hit play for a couple minutes, make sure she actually works. A couple of quick things to point out. As I mentioned, 2025, they've got this rubber gasket underneath the door panel. It doesn't tuck inside of this, it's just below it. So if this pops out, you can just kind of stretch it. There's little grommets, pull it back on. You can't really go wrong. Now, one thing on the door panel, there's not a ton of extra space. So what I want to do is take my hand, keep most of the wiring up here, same place where the electronics control plug goes in. Because you'll see there's not a lot of extra room around the speaker cut out. Now, as we go to put this back on, you're gonna notice, so a little rubber gasket goes between the window and the door panel itself. You reconnect the cables. This is actually super easy, probably the easiest part of the whole process. Drop the balls back in. They're 2 different sizes, so you don't have to worry about it. Electronic controls, bring everything close to where it's gonna go. There's no play in the cabling. Pop it back in, you'll hear a little clip. So now all I'm gonna do is take and manually keep the speaker wiring up a little bit higher. I just don't want it to get pinched. I want to drop all this back on. I'll hit pause in a second and show you this door gasket. We'll put that in the bloopers. Get it on there correctly. What I'm showing you here, all right, the space there, make sure it's a little bit up against, right up against the window. She'll just slide down. And start at this front corner. Then we remount this. We're gonna pop those 6 reusable rivets right back into place. So gently, but you'll hear the pop. Panel's back on. Don't forget your 2 screws, one in the door well, the other one right behind the handle. Then give it a quick sound check, make sure everything's still working.